Thank you guys again for joining the QAD Customer Podcast. Appreciate you tuning in. This particular episode, I'm joined by Steve McHugh, who is the founder of Broom Street Software, along with his partner, Martin Cohen. We've done a episode, long form interview, I should say, with Martin about one half of the Broom Street business and how they serve the QAD space with the sweeper application and specifically the infrastructure and server support, RDBA services that they have. Did that with Martin. This particular episode with Steve goes over the third-party bolt-on products that they have, for the QAD space, whether that be the mobilization of QAD, the web portals that they have successfully brought to market, the services that they bring to the QAD space. And we cover a lot of examples on how they've done that well. And I think it's we cover a lot of topics that I think you guys would benefit from listening to, about how to think about consultants, how to think about ancillary products, utilizing those products with your usage of QAD, and how to drive progress forward in your manufacturing business, both from an IT standpoint as well as from like a business application standpoint. So tune in, let us know what you guys think, and please be sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That would help out a lot. Thanks. What do you got? History of Broom Street. I was actually just telling a customer yesterday, because we're like right near the actual original Broom Street.
That's right. So I guess it was almost 1993. 1993.
Oh, yeah?
So that's almost 30 years.
Nice. What month in 93?
I think it was in December.
Okay.
I think so. I got married in 94. I think I'd been working for myself for like 6 months.
Nice. Yeah, I was 8 months old.
So,
whoops. It's a bad start.
So we know you're 30.
Well,
so that makes me 40.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
That makes me 40.
Exactly.
So I left QAD. I worked for QAD. I started my career at Unisys in the Coast Guard. At a Coast Guard base in Cape May, New Jersey.
Oh, really?
It was a cool job. I worked on the beach.
Oh, nice.
Beach office.
Awesome.
It was nice. It was hard to leave that job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to get closer to Philly, so I came back. And believe it or not, I had progress experience at the Coast Guard.
Really?
And
the Coast Guard used Progress?
Yes, running VMS machines.
Okay.
BTOS and CTOS it was called.
Okay.
Operating system.
Huh.
They were like Macs almost.
Okay.
They were like individual computers.
Yeah. Huh.
And believe it or not, I had progress experience.
Yeah, wow.
And QAD in Mount Laurel, New Jersey was looking for progress experience.
Yeah, which is like rare to find, yeah.
So
they'd hire you and all your colleagues for that.
Yeah, they hired me. In fact, I tried to get one of my colleagues to come up with me. And then in 90, so I worked at QAD for 4 years, had a great experience there. I actually love working there. I'm just sort of an independent type of person.
Yeah.
And so I started Broom Street in 1993.
Yeah.
I had offers to go work for Pix and for a couple other companies, but I actually started doing my own thing, which fits me personally, gives me that freedom.
Yeah.
That's good. And for the first 5 or 6 years, it was just me, I think. And then I started bringing on people on board and partnering with folks. So, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Martin was one of your first customers too, right?
Martin was one of my first customers, and he actually ended up working for me.
Yeah.
And he's been working with Broom Street almost, to be honest with you, I don't remember.
Yeah, it was a while.
It's been a while. I think he came on around Y2K.
Okay.
And then we hired Bill Boyd. He worked with us for a long time.
Okay.
And now we have a couple other folks. Yeah. We do a lot of subcontracting, and we do,
It was got to meet a few of the guys at the conferences here.
Right. We have a young guy now. We're trying to get younger. Yeah. As you can tell.
Good. That's good. Hence why we're sitting here in front of cameras.
That's right.
That's good though.
No, there's an opportunity in the QAD market, I think. For us, that it's hard not to take advantage of.
Yeah, there is.
And we love what we do. I don't.
Yeah.
You know, people ask me all the time, do I want to retire?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't see myself retiring for at least 20 years. So
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting getting kind of, we've been working together, in different forms, but obviously getting to know you guys in a much deeper way, and what you guys do in a deeper way, get to talk to your customers, things like that. Definitely felt like it was necessary to document all of the different aspects of Broom Street, because even talking with other people in the space, it's a name that's been around, right? You guys have been around for 30 years,
right?
Next year so it's been around, but everyone kind of has their slice of how they've interacted with you, whether it's the services side, the infrastructure side, the mobile desk side.
Right. We have people who just think I'm like a mobile desk, like I'm an app person.
Yeah.
And they don't realize the breadth of knowledge we have with QAD.
Like you came in last night off of implementing QAD.
Right. Right. So So
it's a variety.
That I'm lucky enough to, when I started my career, QAD put me in positions where I had to do everything.
Yeah. Okay.
They threw me into the fire.
Yeah.
And
so what was your role with QAD?
I took out the trash.
Okay.
I picked up presidents and vice presidents at the airport.
Nice.
I had to support QAD, install QAD.
Nice.
Wow. Market.
Yeah.
Vaporware.
Yeah.
Anything they asked me to do. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Wow.
And I got to travel a lot.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed my time there, even though it was only 4 years, but it was, and I have kept those relationships for a long time.
Oh yeah.
With the people who work there, and I still work with all the QAD folks. And it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, there's definitely kind of an old guard at QAD as well, and then even in the QAD space, all of the partners are part of that old guard, but just have really started their own businesses, or and some of them like Pix, is now second generation, or handed to somebody else via sale or something like. I don't know how, like Factivity, how long they've been around, but somebody like that.
Right.
It's like a second iteration.
No, yeah.
But, yeah.
So
it's interesting. Yeah. So anyway, so you guys, I mean, we talked a lot with Martin about kind of the infrastructure side, because that's really his domain.
Right.
Went through server support, managed services, RDBA, all those areas. But there's kind of two domains that I think you have your hands in a lot, which is around the managed services for the actual application of QAD,
right?
Including implementation services, support, like a retainer-based ongoing support contracts to help customers handle that. And then the other side, which people are familiar, is the intellectual property of Broom Street, which is mobile.
Right.
The infamous vendor intro from Frankie.
That's right.
And then in conjunction with that, there's other categories like the web portals, like the supplier portal, or things of that nature.
Right.
There's a variety of those. So I think it might be helpful, and I think we can talk through a little bit about the experiences that customers have had with each of these areas, and what makes them, a valuable part of somebody's business.
Right.
Well, I guess there's a third category before I get into that, which is what you guys have naturally done in response to needs that the customer has. Like, for instance, the Shopify integration, or the other, what was that other company, the Channel
Advisors.
Channel Advisors, for like more big box retail. But let's start off with kind of the breadth of mobile desk, because I know, even looking at your mouse pad, there's a lot that goes into mobile desk, right?
Right.
So like, what are some of the most commonly used asset, or pieces of mobile desk that people commonly use?
Yeah, I think when we started with mobile desk, it was more of just like, it was sort of like fun project just to see if we could connect to QAD via an iOS and iPhone, because if everyone's on their phone.
Yeah.
The fact that you have access to your QAD system on your phone, that runs like an app is pretty powerful. So, things that lend themselves for people are in the field, right? So we have like a mini CRM app that it's called Sales Desk, that is quite useful for companies, and it's geared for people who are out in the field, salespeople. Tech engineers. We have a mobile field desk service, field service app that actually QAD actually asked us to write for them when they were trying to get a client in Europe.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was the nexus of that app.
Okay.
Tony Winter at the time came to us and said, "Can you write us an app? We need this. We don't have one yet."
Yeah. Okay.
So that was the nexus of that, and that became probably our biggest selling app is our field service app.
Is that the one that's pretty common around like the life science?
Yes, fields. Anything where you have an installed base. So like we have a company that does water jets.
Yeah.
A company that does dental equipment. Anybody who's doing anything in the field.
Yeah.
Who has an installed base.
Yeah.
For those people in QAD, the installed base. It's a service and support module. You have your installed base, and you send your techs out, and they can record all their time. They can take pictures. They can use all the power of the phone, right? They can do electronic signature. Yeah. They can take pictures. They can record their time. Okay. And they can close a call. Yeah. They can generate a PDF report right on there and have the customer sign for it.
Okay.
So that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, yeah. So what is the back end to that? Like how is that extending QAD? What components of QAD is that extending?
So it's in that particular field service, it's extending the QAD service module, right? And then we communicate with QAD via web service,
gotcha.
Right? Which is just It's anybody who's technical. Yeah. It's anybody who's. It's the same components that QAD runs. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of a selling point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no really software that needs to get installed.
Yeah.
It's just Progress and Tomcat.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have our own proprietary APIs. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. That allows us to communicate with QAD. Okay.
And then we can dive, maybe this might be more for someone who's technical listening, but like, are you deploying those APIs like next to the QAD
server? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like that's still something that QAD allows in the cloud.
Correct.
And then, so you deploy that API next to the QAD instance in wherever that is.
Correct.
And on-premise, in the cloud, private cloud, whatever it is.
It doesn't matter.
And then how does the app connect? Is it like through a proxy server?
App server.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Right. So for security, for those who are security, QAD spins up some servers outside the network.
Okay,
proxy servers.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
So communicate with that server, and then
that communicates with QAD. But the nuts and bolts are on the server sitting next to QAD.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then another one of our popular apps is Mobile Trunk.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is basically trunk inventory for sales reps.
Okay. I think that's the one that I was thinking about.
Right. So it's anybody who's out in the field.
Yeah.
That's really where you need to use mobile, right? You're not going to have someone running the GL on their mobile.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You could.
Yeah.
Right.
Technically, I guess if they like leave their office for a minute.
Right. And I have customers who use credit hold, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They do credit holds, and a lot of times credit holds just you're hitting a button to release an order off credit hold.
Yeah.
Well, they may only have 2 credit people in the company, and they're at an offsite meeting.
Yeah.
They don't want to log into QAD and release orders off hold, so they can do it on their mobile device.
Okay.
And they get a notification that, hey, this order's on hold. And they look on their phone and they release it.
Yeah.
We also have a purchase requisition app, approval app, which is sort of, QAD has one too.
Yeah,
so,
the GRS thing.
Yeah, the GRS.
Yeah.
The nice thing is our apps go backward compatible. So if you're on an older version of QAD, they work.
Yeah.
They work on the new versions. They work on the old versions. So if a customer for some reason can't upgrade in a time period and they still want to use mobile, there's no reason they can't use mobile for a little bit.
Got it. Okay.
And then take advantage of the QAD technology when they go to the cloud, because the new QAD technology is very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. So for a customer who's looking at, say they've got a number of sales reps say that are out in the field, they've got trunk stock, or consignment inventory at a hospital or something like that. But a customer that purchases Mobile Desk and utilizes it for like the mobile trunk.
Correct.
How does that interplay? Like, say, okay, now we also want our techs to be using
Field Desk.
Yeah, Field Desk. Like, how does that?
They just buy one license. So it's because you're not going to have a user's using Mobile Trunk is not going to be a field engineer.
Right.
So even though you get all the apps with the price, I'm going to use if I'm a field engineer, I'm going to use the field app.
Right.
If I'm a salesperson using mobile trunk, I'll use that. Or if I'm looking at my sales history, my mini CRM, I call it.
Yeah.
Or they're doing things like, inventory. They want to look at their inventory on, on the mobile device.
Yeah.
We have a poor man's data collection too.
Yeah. Okay.
If you just want to do certain transactions on your on an Android device, and you don't want to invest in all the time and money in some of the larger players in that market.
Yeah.
Including QAD.
Right.
We're not trying to compete with QAD, but if a customer has a need to do an inventory transfer and that's all they need, they can just do it on it's like a light version of just doing a quick transaction.
Okay.
On an Android or an iOS.
Okay.
We have customers like that too.
Okay. So we covered mobile trunk, field desk,
right?
And the PO rec
and sales desk is
that's the mini CRM,
right? Yeah. We have one customer who uses they have 100 sales reps.
Okay.
And they're just looking at their data.
Yeah.
On their sales, month to date, year to date, reports.
Yeah.
The list of customers, who's on credit hold. Right. So it's got all the information that's in QAD.
Right.
Your accounts receivable aging.
Yeah.
All that data is available. You know.
Yeah. Okay. So then the way that would work is a customer purchases mobile from Broom Street, and now they can then assign licenses to people and utilize these various components.
Right.
Does it all use the same integration components?
Yes.
So there's just the one API that is installed when you deploy mobile.
Right.
And then now you can turn on these apps. And then is there much configuration?
There's some configuration on the back end. You have to set up the users. Right. The key thing about mobile is you only see the data you're responsible for.
Right. Okay.
So all that built-in data level security is done on the back end.
Right.
So an example, I'm a salesperson. I'm Territory X.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They only see Territory X data.
Okay.
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
But then the manager can see X and Y.
Yeah.
So they get to see X and Y data.
Right. That makes sense.
And then the top of the pyramid can see everything.
Right.
So that's key because you want that data to be fast and secure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And
that's really the magic, I think, of how the system works. Right.
Yeah.
Because you have to build that matrix of what people get to see on the app.
Yeah. Does that so in building that matrix component to it on what's seen, is there an admin I'm assuming component to it that
there's an admin component. We call it a control center.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
So where you set up the users, what they can see, all sorts of things.
Okay, so what other apps out of those three? Those three I've heard of a lot.
Right.
people definitely use those a lot.
Right.
What other apps are available when someone deploys mobile?
Oh, so we have the purchasing desk. Everything's called desk, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of our panache, I guess.
Yeah.
That's our naming convention.
Yeah.
So it's the purchasing, ordering. If you want to just do quick sales orders on the app.
Yeah.
We have a mobile trunk.
Yeah.
Field desk, which is the field service, inventory desk, which is, like I said, the inventory transactions. So they're the main apps there.
Okay, so it's really if you think about the transactions across the business that would happen within QAD,
right?
There's likely a mobile component to that where it makes sense,
right? And we can do custom apps too.
Yeah, okay.
If somebody wants a focused app that does these three things, we can. Yeah. We use the same platform. We just have our mobile. We just write a couple new APIs.
Right.
And the beauty of having the mobile development, our mobile developers really don't need to know anything about QAD.
Right. Yeah. Because just making calls back and forth.
You're making a phone call.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right. That's all these APIs do. Hey, make a phone call to this number and give me the list of orders.
Yeah.
And now we're going into we're working with the Web Jaguar folks. Yeah. Or QAD has a new name for that, I think it's called.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I think
it's called. We should know the branding.
No, I forget it. I don't know. We should know that.
Yeah. We'll have to look that up. I can clip that in here.
Right.
So the Web Jaguar. So I think that's a good segue kind of over towards these platforms that customers utilize to
Correct.
interact with a QAD customer and purchase their products and services. Is that there's the Web Jaguar application, which QAD's I think has rebranded, but that's part of the QAD umbrella of products now.
Correct.
And you've got something like a Shopify, which people are very familiar with, or even just the interaction with big box retailers.
Right. We have customers who have their Shopify storefronts, and they want those orders to go into QAD.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we've written all those integrations. We do a lot of integrations. That's a very strong suit of our company from a service standpoint.
Yeah.
So we do integrations that communicate with Shopify. We have integrations that go with this company called Channel Advisors, which is it's like a marketplace. So we don't communicate with Amazon or eBay, Target, Walmart, and Home Depot. Their websites integrate with Channel Advisors. So we don't have to, then we just integrate with Channel Advisors and we get all those orders.
Wow.
So we load those orders into QAD. When it's shipped, we communicate back with them and the customer says, your order's coming. And that's how that works.
Okay.
And
so is it like a push and pull then from Shopify?
It's a pull. We pull from Shopify, then we push back the shipment confirmations.
Okay.
But there's no magic to it really. These marketplaces, including Web Jaguar, have APIs.
Yeah, yeah.
So all you need is a special key and a token, and you can start communicating with these websites. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of in IT especially. And this is probably a commentary on how IT people think. Things aren't that hard.
Yeah, yeah.
People make them out to be harder than they
overcomplex.
Oh well. No, that's a 6-month project to grab your orders from Shopify.
Yeah.
And it really isn't.
Yeah.
And we try and take the mystery out of that. Like, things don't need to be 6-month projects.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one thing that we're very good with. Now,
I've noticed that.
When we do work with some companies that don't like our approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's fair because, I understand.
Yeah.
That, bigger companies don't may want a 6-month project.
Yeah. And I mean this in like the
and
best
I don't,
way.
I don't.
I mean this in the best way possible, but I see Broom Street as kind of like a more of a scrappy organization where it's like you're going to come in, figure it out as best that it can be done, but as simple as it can be done. You know? And doing more with less.
Right. And there's the simpler the better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just a philosophy I have.
Yeah.
The more the simpler.
Well, it's easier
better.
to support on the back end as well.
Right.
If you have a simple product, it's easy to interact with for simple process. It's easy to interact with as an end user. There's not a huge learning curve with all these nuts and bolts that you got to kind of figure out. And then also all those points of failure. It's like it could be a support headache to try and figure out where exactly that failure happened if you've got this overly engineered and complex product.
Right.
Yeah. That makes
so
sense.
we try and keep things as simple as possible.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's
so
that's
so
our
is
approach.
it what with the I know Shopify's got like a marketplace and channel advisors, right? That's what it's called. Yeah. I'm not as familiar with them, but what would make a QAD user, like what about their business would make them think, oh, I should actually look further into this? Like, is it if they're trying to sell direct to consumer?
Sell direct to consumer,
okay. Yeah.
right? So if you have, a lot of QAD customers don't sell direct to consumer, right? Yeah. So the ones that do need to have storefronts, right? And whether they design their own, or they take advantage of, the big box retailers. Right? Yeah. That who are buying those products. Yeah. Right? They're selling on Amazon, eBay, Target, Walmart.
Yeah. So I think about like a Skosh, who's a very well-known QAD user who, likely if you look at the magnet on the back of your phone for your car, it's usually a Skosh product. Or they also have like these like little portable speakers.
Right.
They do a lot on Amazon. But that, like in Target, you can buy Skosh products, things like that. So that would be one category. So maybe more like the consumer goods products. But,
correct.
But then I'm even thinking too is probably more and more food and beverage as well. Especially after the pandemic, like if a food and beverage company is thinking about how to expand their reach in a market, this could be, and they're a QAD user, this could be a good opportunity for one of them to think about how could I start to sell direct to consumer.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And expand our market a bit.
Right.
So I think that would be a big one. Like an automotive manufacturer, probably not the best fit for that.
No, automotive manufacturers normally aren't big.
But even like somebody like a MyTech who just purchased a bunch of residential companies, and are trying to roll out a one QAD model,
right,
which is a great model. A lot of companies. I was just talking to a company yesterday who has running 13 different ERP systems. It's a nightmare. It's really challenging because then you've got these extensions of those ERP systems.
Right.
So like if you're trying to roll out QAD across an entire enterprise, especially if it's a global, you've merged or acquired a bunch of businesses, trying to roll that out. I think it's a good idea to think about how to extend the QAD product to replace what might be out there.
Right.
Because a lot of people might go with a Dynamics or an Acumatica or something like that, as opposed to a QAD because it's cloud-based, it's agile, it's extendable. But with QAD, you've got the robustness of like an SAP and Oracle, but it still has the opportunities for, extensibility.
Oh, of course.
And it's simple enough, for that in that case. So I like that idea, that thought, especially for companies that are looking at rapid M&A strategies. They may try and target a market that is more direct to consumer within their product category.
Correct.
Yep. Like MyTech, you can go to Home Depot and buy MyTech products, but they also sell like massive trusses for like, big like skyscrapers.
Correct.
You know what I mean? That's probably not direct to consumer.
No.
No.
So,
but being able to extend your QAD product, in order to serve both of those markets is really important.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's a door manufacturer this is top of mind because I was just talking with them 2 days ago. And we were talking about a QAD upgrade and what sorts of things they could be taking advantage of. But they just merged with a company. It was just that exact scenario where it's mostly direct to consumer residential. They're mostly commercial doors. So they're trying to figure out if we move everybody to QAD, how do we manage two different business models?
And they are different. Because the direct shipments are going to be handled differently than shipments to like a truckload that you're sending to Amazon. Or you're sending to one of your customers, right? So, you got to be able to be, even within a QAD implementation, you have to be able to handle those splitting of those channels, those sales channels, right? Because it's a different business process.
Yeah, I mean, how should they think about that kind of rolling up further upstream for a QAD customer who's like thinking about retooling their manufacturing floor or like reconfiguring something like that to serve more of those? Like, how should they think about that, or should they just try to?
No, I mean they need to think about it because like they may want to manufacture for one channel in one part of the building. Where the quantities are full pallets or they're big containers, where these direct to consumers are a box. Right. So you may have a different part of the warehouse that ships your direct parcels. And using like a UPS. Or then you're going to have that part of the warehouse that's doing truckloads.
That made me think about it too, because one of the customers that we do a lot of business with, they were talking about how sometimes the standard model within an ERP system assumes that you have like unlimited space opportunities, like especially for the manufacturing floor.
Right.
Like you can just basically do whatever their best practice is and implement it in your business.
Right.
But you may have to be agile in some ways. So but then come to find out in the QAD space is very common where they make QAD fit their model. And then they get stuck in a version.
Right.
They can't take advantage of some of these new opportunities that QAD is rolling out, new acquisitions that they're making.
Right.
Rolling out these new products. So I think it's important for a QAD user now who's thinking about the future too, to think about, if I need QAD to be adaptable, maybe I can look at something like the mobile or like a web portal or an integration to Shopify or something of that nature, as opposed to customizing my ERP.
No.
That, you know what I mean?
And yes, I mean we historically we've done a lot of customizations at Broom Street.
And
And we try and do them in the best manner that our customers don't get landlocked at those versions. And it's really up to the customer. I have customers who just are religious about going up to the next version, and others who really don't. They don't see any need for it. They,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
For whatever reason. They're a little more. What's the word for it? I don't even think it's a money issue. I think
it could be cultural, because we see that cultural. A lot, where it's like the change management process for some companies is just a bear. It's just not a part of their DNA as a company to like implement those sorts of overhauls and changes.
Because doing implementations of the web UI it's eye opening. I really love the product. I think it's really nice to work with. It's extensible.
I mean, I don't know too much about that. I'm not sure how much the QAD market's educated about it, and it's helpful to have two guys that are not a part of QAD talk about something like this. Not to say that QAD's not being fully transparent about it or anything like that. It's just helpful to have more nuanced conversations about something like a new product like the web UI.
It's fantastic, I have to say. I mean, I'm really impressed by it.
Tell me about like where QAD's at with it. I know this is a little bit unrelated to Broom Street, but I think it is, because we talk about services and managed services for the application at Broom Street. So to get a feel for where the QAD application is, I think that's kind of a good segue there.
I would say it's very close to having all the features that are existing in, like, say, the .NET. There's some things that aren't still there. I don't have a list or anything like that, but I come across things, when we're doing an implementation, we can do everything except this. And that way you have to go to the .NET to do that. And that, I don't know if it's challenging. I don't, the users really, at the end of the day, they live with it. Right? It's not the end of the world, right? But, order entry, data setup, purchase order, all that is on the web UI. I mean, it's,
and so it's just like a more intuitive, is it like, did they change the back end infrastructure on that?
I don't know if it's just easier to work with. I don't know. They've gone to in my opinion, it's self-service.
Got it.
Right? Here's a website, which the web UI is. To me, it's a website. There, you got your videos, you got your online documentation, you got everything you need to figure out how to use the software. Right? That's, I think, because when's the last time anybody had a training class? You don't have training classes anymore. When I was going through in my career, you'd go to a week training class, right? They don't do that anymore.
No.
And so they want everyone to sort of figure it out
People
themselves.
don't want to learn that way either. Especially people like to just, hey, how do I do this 30 seconds on Google? Or click on the training icon.
I would disagree with that in some regards. I still work with a lot of people who, they're not self-starters.
Okay, I see.
Right? If you're a self-starter and you want to figure it out, it's all in there for you.
Right,
But if you're not a self-starter, and not everyone's wired that way. So there is still to sit down, have a training class on how to do this.
So do you see that's something that Broom Street would be a big proponent in, or like big component for somebody?
I would. That's sort of another part that we, in our business, we could offer training for things of that nature.
Because you guys, I mean, you obviously do that as a part of implementation.
We do that as part of implementations, but that whole idea of getting classes, right? Is something that I guess I don't know if there's a market for it anymore, like you said. And
well, I mean, I think one of the things that we saw at the user groups, when Ben did his presentation and you and Martin kind of supported him in that presentation around the web UI, there was a lot of interest, and he kind of showed how to even navigate the self-starter training component to it. I forget what they have a name for that like. Where that thing that shows you, the wizard that shows you.
Oh, Guide Me.
Yeah, so he's kind of walking through that and then extending that a little bit. Like, like this is where it shows you to do this, but you can also do this, this, and this.
Right. The hard part is, I think, with users is that it's not the interface. They don't understand what's happening.
Okay.
Right?
Got it,
Right? I confirm a shipper. What did that really do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not just a button pusher.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I confirm a shipment. But
Yeah.
what does it really do? And I think that's where I've seen that knowledge go away over the years.
Yeah. Okay. So the web UI could help with still functioning really well with that knowledge not fully there.
Correct.
Yeah. That
Right.
makes sense.
I mean, I'm seeing that more people are more specialized than they used to be.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
when you used to do an implementation, there'd be like 10 people on the implementation team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was there were a lot of training, a lot of this. People don't get that anymore.
Yeah. Huh.
It's just
It's kind of like more of a software as a service, or like even it reminds me a lot of Google, where you've got like your maps, your Google Drive, the marketplace. Like there's all these the search engine. You've got all these other components of Google that you can navigate and use. It's very intuitive. You get on the website, you can do all these things. It's kind of like QAD financials, MRP. You got all these components that you can use. But you don't want to know how Google's interacting with their database to save your Google Doc and share it to somebody else. You just want to be able to click into the UI and do it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's the same sort of model.
Same sort of model. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm enjoying working with it.
Yeah.
I'm an old school guy, so I have character.net and web UI all up at the same time.
Nice.
Because there's certain things that I do that
Yeah, it's easier. Yeah.
But I'm enjoying using the web UI. I think it's a really nice tool.
Cool. Yeah, so someone who's interested in that, definitely, you can talk with QAD, you can talk with Broom Street about the components of getting to something like that. Big question mark when someone goes into an upgrade or an implementation of the newer version is, where are you at now? And I think that's been something that I've noticed working with you guys. More and more people don't even, to your point, don't really even know what's going on now within their QAD application and what the gaps might be to get to that newer model.
Right.
So do you have any examples on how you guys have kind of scaled that? I know I like the simple approach to that too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where you're not trying to complex.
Well, we're doing some projects now where the customer's coming from a really old version.
Yeah.
And they're not running financials.
Okay.
So if you're running financials, you have to use the new EE financials, and if they're on an older version, that's training and stuff.
Yeah.
But we're trying to bring those people over to the platform where they can use the platform, but retain their old business processes until they can take advantage. To get to go into the cloud, be on a modern progress. You don't have any hardware issues anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You can use your
not on an 08 server.
No, you're in the cloud and you're running sort of the way you ran before.
Yeah.
But now you have this tool that you can slowly move to, right?
Yeah.
And the nice thing about it is I can use purchasing. If I want to move my purchasing group over to web UI and still have manufacturing and order entry.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm bringing over processes that are really old. So if you're in a really old version of SE, or even before that, you can kind of bring your business process into the cloud, taking advantage of the platform and getting up and running.
Yeah. Okay. So how does that work? Obviously, you lift and shift what you have into the cloud, and then
they use a standard QAD cloud, but we bring over a lot of their business processes and all their customizations.
Got it. Okay.
So they can still run the way they have been, but now they're in the cloud.
Yeah.
They're in a standard environment
that
QAD can maintain for them.
Yeah.
And they can start utilizing the analytics, the KPIs, which is a big selling point of the web UI.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. The kind of configurable reporting, dashboarding type of feel.
Right, which is very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
So
definitely.
So you can imagine a customer on 8.5 who wants to go to the cloud.
Yeah.
Let's get their business processes going in the cloud, and then they can take advantage of the users that want to use the web UI.
And then that's also one way to kind of bridge that change management process. And that
correct. Instead of doing this this giant implementation.
Right. It's basically implementing a brand new ERP if you're just gonna basically rip and replace 8.5 with like the modern AUX version.
Oh yeah, that's not even. You can't even compare.
Yeah.
You're right. You're
It's
basically
like
a new
off
version.
QAD, or something.
Exactly. There's some benefits.
Yeah. Okay.
To stay on the QAD, like it's not a complete new thing.
Mm-hmm.
Terminology.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of the terminology is the same, which is important, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Or
even the knowledge of progress in the organization too on the back end of things.
Correct.
That's helpful to have.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
It's not as critical as it used to be.
Okay.
Because a lot of what you can do is all in the.
So what does, I know there's kind of a few categories of support around the QAD application, and it's no secret there's been a lot of changes that are happening in the QAD space around support. We're not here to necessarily make commentary on QAD support specifically, but there are opportunities for customers to take advantage of things outside of QAD themselves in supporting their application. And I know Broom Street does a lot of that.
Right. We started with a couple customers, and now we're it's like concierge service, right? We will offer the ability that customers can retain us at a monthly rate. We provide it with a help desk software. We use a company called Zendesk, I think they are. And they lodge a ticket and they get great support, right? We don't, we try and get back to our customers in a way that they feel comfortable. And I know you've talked to some of our customers.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. And there's a few in particular that I've interviewed that have been very open about us sharing their commentary around their experience with Broom Street support. So, we can either clip some of that in or just, stay tuned on some of these platforms that we'll be launching some of the commentary on, within LinkedIn and things of that nature to learn more about how that application support has worked for people. I know it's one thing, one common objection that people think about is like, I'm paying QAD for support. Why would I go and contract somebody else for support? And the biggest thing that I think, and one of the big things that I think you should consider if you're in that mindset, is that QAD serves 5 or 6 different industries, 5 or 6 different verticals, and is extended. There's opportunities to customize, there's opportunities to extend the application.
Right.
So one QAD, even a QAD cloud standard implementation, it can be extended in X, Y, and Z ways, is going to be different than the other one. So it's not about just the bug support that you get from QAD. It's about like a customer or a new hire trying to figure out how to create a purchase order. And it's like, let me put in a ticket quick just to learn real quick, instead of going to the software vendor that's set up to handle like bugs and things like that nature.
Right.
So I feel like that's it's more of the application of the application,
Yes, and it's I deal with that every day, right? So
Yeah.
I see the questions coming in,
Right.
Yeah. How come my general ledger doesn't match my inventory valuation?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's not an easy question to answer.
Right. There's investigation that needs to be done, and it might not even be a QAD issue.
It's not. Most times it isn't.
It's a data issue.
It's a data setup issue. So it's not a QAD
Yeah.
issue. Oh, you didn't set up your product line right, or
Yeah.
you changed your product line, or you did a journal entry into an inventory account that you weren't supposed to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And those type of questions run the business.
Yeah.
And people want answers.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
and the cost is there. Like the question has to be answered regardless. So a company needs to think about how are they going to approach setting up their organization to answer those questions. Like, are you going to hire a bunch of people internally and have a QAD business analyst support staff that may or may not have the expertise? You have turnover. You've got all the joys of running that type of department. Or are you going to hope that QAD, they're not a services organization, they're a software organization, they're focused on building their product?
Correct.
Are you going to hope that your maintenance contract is going to answer those questions? That's not a good model either. So I think it's more for somebody that wants the agility, the scrappiness of someone that's going to, at 5 o'clock, quickly send in like a quick email because they've been there, done that. You guys have been there, done that. It's
Yes.
a 15-minute investigation for you as opposed to like a 2-month process.
and there's incredible value for I think,
Yeah.
that is provided.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Just be able to send an email or a ticket or a phone call to an organization that can reply quickly and knowledgeably to the issue in hand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How come I can't I had one yesterday, they were so a couple days ago, and it's the simplest thing. They tried to add a scheduled order line on an order, and like they sent me a screenshot and they had an answer in 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So what is the value in that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's hard to quantify, but I think there's value. And we're seeing our business grow because of offering that type of concierge support.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you see that in healthcare.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. You know, people have Medicare and Medicaid, but I know a lot of people. I'm not getting there yet. I'm close.
People put a doctor on retainer.
Exactly.
Just
so
to have
I have a question, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it definitely requires a certain approach and mindset. And I think one of the things that can be really helpful is to think about how your ERP application is used in the business, and try and build a wider lens on that. Like everybody talks about, for everything from like talent acquisition and retention, turnover is huge, especially in manufacturing.
Right.
So you've got that component, constantly people asking basic questions. It's like we just held a QAD, training conference for 2 weeks last year. Well, now you've got 5 new people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like you've constantly got that to contend with. You've got an aging out, knowledge base of people that you can bring into direct employees of your organization to help with QAD and help with that. So it's almost a more agile approach instead of trying to go find that unicorn that you can hire, into your organization. Right. You could have someone that's more the facilitator of the relationship with someone like Broom Street, or helping a user understand how to leverage that application, that service. So that's one consideration. I think that someone needs to take into consideration. And then also, like, where is software businesses going? Software businesses are trying to become like Google. When's the last time you got to call Google and ask them how to type in an address?
I use QuickBooks.
Yeah.
We've used QuickBooks for 20 years. I've never called QuickBooks for support.
So you got to think about as a user of an ERP, allow your consumer interactions with software to guide what's going to happen in 10 years, within 5-10 years of your business applications. It's like what's happening with Google now, where there's no support line. It's just more and more intuitive.
Exactly.
But the business side of that is like, okay, that might be intuitive, but they also need to understand the process. They need to understand the data. So you need somebody there to help. And that's where I think Broom Street's service.
And ERP is complicated.
Yeah, it is.
You do one thing's wrong the wrong way, it affects downstream. It all rolls into the general ledger, right?
Yeah.
And then someone's.
Yeah. I mean, you think about like, somebody screws up something on a purchase order, on an inventory-based purchase order. Now you have that inventory. Your inventory is all screwed up. The invoice that you're getting, the accounting's like, what the heck? This is not right, because they're thinking about what should have been purchased. And then now you've got a sales order that you need to use that inventory for, and now you're all jacked up there. It's like a simple situation of like, what do I do with this purchase order?
Right.
Quick question, 5-minute answer, and now you've eliminated all that cost.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's that's where the value is of it.
And like you said, QAD's not going to.
Right. Yeah.
They're not going to, because there's nothing wrong with QAD.
And they should, honestly, in my personal view, they shouldn't, because that's where I think somebody like Broom Street or somebody can step in and help with those types of services.
Correct.
Those types of support. I think that's your total cost of ownership. Your total cost of ownership of QAD includes the cost that you have of people screwing up and trying to fix those mistakes.
And a lot of organizations had people working in the past would have those business
to your point,
experts.
There's 10 people in the implementation. You got the implementation done. They're there for 20 years. You're good to go for 20 years.
Right. They're not that doesn't exist anymore.
No, it's not happening. Yeah.
It just doesn't, it's become IT's responsibility to manage the business, right? And where I think the misperception of Broom Street is that we're IT, but they don't realize all this, I'll have a mobile company
Yeah.
that I'm working with, and
Yeah.
and it's very focused. It's a mobile trunk thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then we just start chatting about.
Yeah.
And they, you know how QAD works, and
Yeah.
because it's
well, to properly extend that application, you really need to know, and it's in order to provide that level of value. That's why mobile desk is a better option to take advantage of, because it's like all that knowledge of QAD that we're talking about is also baked into these apps.
That's correct.
You know what I mean? It's like we know how these users will be interacting with sales orders because you've been doing it with them for 30 years.
Right.
You bake that into a product, that now they can leverage as well.
Right.
But one of the things that I was thinking about, I'm having Scott Gaines from RX Site on the QAD Customer Podcast.
Okay.
We both know it. We do business with him.
Yes, he's a user of our field service app.
Exactly. Yeah, and he made a really good point. He's also very involved in the West Coast user group.
Right.
And he was talking about where he sees leveraging software and building the value of that software in a business, where he sees that going. And it's very in line with this. So I think, you don't want to lament the situation that exists where, you don't have these 10 people that are available to you in-house to help you with leveraging and applying QAD. Like, it's time to move on from lamenting over that situation. But where is the value? Where's the opportunity with that situation? And I think the opportunity there is to knowledge share across more senior level or executive level people that have that visibility to look through all those processes and all the downstream effects, and to level up the efficiencies gained that this software can provide.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that, I think one component of that is to constantly be adjusting how that efficiency is gained and how you guys are approaching that as a business, as a manufacturer. Right. So, and I think that's, again, where this application service on a retainer basis can come into play, is it helps, as a senior leader in a manufacturing business, you can leverage QAD to really build out an awesome process that's efficient, that's going to scale. RX Site did that with their lens components that they do. They're really scaling up massively. They got 2 people supporting the ERP, on the business analytics side.
And they have Broom Street too.
Right. That's my point. That's exactly my point.
They have the ability to call us at any time.
Exactly. And that's the point.
And there's value to that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Scott Gaines he's running operations at this place. Right. But he's also, now he's the go-to guy for QAD. He leverages like a retainer basis with Broom Street as a part of, or utilizing some of their extendable apps, like we're talking about Field Desk, to be able to fill that gap, and be able, and now he can focus on, how do I further leverage the software to help scale my business?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then you niche down, and that's QAD's, and has awesome niches within manufacturing. Those who have selected it, it's a great opportunity to niche down and level up, use those best practices.
Yeah.
But bring someone like Broom Street on to make sure that you don't have the gaps in the actual execution. Right. Because that's where the variable is.
Yeah.
The variable is going to be in the execution of how you leverage.
Right. So
that's my soapbox. But so kind of recap for us. So we talked about the IP, like the mobile platforms. We talked about the services opportunities around the application. We talked about infrastructure services with Martin. We talked about Shopify, channel advisors.
Right.
So the web portal side of things, talk a little bit about that.
We work with a partner of ours, semi-employee of ours that develops like a portal. Mm-hmm. It's called E4, and it's basically a platform to be able to communicate with other systems. Yeah. And also build their own systems within that. So we've partnered with them on shopping carts, custom shopping carts. We've partnered with them on supplier portal. Yeah. Yep. Right. We've partnered with them at one point on a CRM, but we sort of stopped that approach. But it's a way the portal is a way to get data all summarized inside of of QAD. You're pulling all the data from anywhere. It can pull it from QAD. It can pull it from any system, and it comes into this portal. And then that platform E4 allows you to do whatever you really want to do.
Yeah,
it's
the same. It's the same general concept around the mobile.
It's exactly the same concept as the mobile. The only difference it's more geared to like a bigger application. Yeah. More so than like an app. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Apps are very focused.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I need to have a computer to go in and do my. Like I said, it's almost like another website.
Yeah.
That's got all this data.
Right.
And, we had a customer that had a CRM in there, and then they just started pulling all sorts of QAD data in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing that I've noticed that's really helpful for the customers I've talked to that are using that portal, that there's opportunities for some self-service even within that portal.
Yes.
Like a supplier can, with one customer, interact with those documents or upload new documents, things like that eliminates the need for a purchasing department to have to handle those sorts of reminders or things of that nature.
So, I mean, a lot of companies offer portals now.
Yeah.
Go here to pay your invoices. Go here to do this. Go here to do that. Right?
Yeah.
The days of actually interacting with a lot of people is kind of coming to a close. That's again back to our support discussion we had.
Well, and the other component to that is it's a globalized workforce as well. Especially with being remote and things like that. That when you're managing the back office, even of a manufacturer, you can have a global remote workforce.
Right.
Which time zones, schedules, flex. You want to be flexible, offer flex time, offer tons of PTO. Somebody on PTO doesn't want to go and start calling up all their suppliers. You know what I mean? They want to hop on the portal, get a little bit of work done, be done.
Right.
What I mean?
Because that's really what remote work has done. Everyone's working all the time now.
Right. Yeah.
They can say they're going on vacation, but we're all connected.
Oh yeah.
And we, for some of us, we need to feel like we're not coming back to a mountain of work.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
To spend 5 or 10, spend an hour a day while you're on vacation to get everything done for peace of mind and being able to do it on your mobile device or on a portal where, and now with the web UI, it's sort of the same concept, right? You can just go to a website. Yeah. That's all the web UI is now, a website.
Yeah.
And you can get your work done.
Well, that's one for you. The people that are listening is like, talent retention. There's a value. That's a clever way to think about that. Is the extendability of your ERP. You can attract and acquire better talent, and then also broaden the horizon so that it doesn't all have to be a local workforce.
Right.
It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have a customer that never went back to the office, and they're a big QAD. Mm-hmm. They're almost $1 billion in sales, right? Wow. They never went back in the office.
Wow. That's awesome.
They never went back in the office, and
manufacturer, that's right.
and for the support staff, the manufacturing sites are still obviously there, but does that hurt or help? I don't know. I guess the time will tell, but
well, it's almost like the market decides. Like you almost have to.
I mean,
it's like you can't even. Sometimes imposing that could hurt the business. That we don't want to do it that way. Something. So, like that. It's interesting. Cool.
So it's a brave new world, right?
Yeah, that's right. Cool. So any parting thoughts or anything?
No, not really.
Yeah, I think
I always enjoy talking with Steven Rosenthal.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. Gotta get like a show, the Steve in the morning. But no, I think if you want to learn more about some of these topics that we talked about, even understanding how to think about leveraging QAD or what you could potentially be doing with QAD, these guys are very focused on building equity in relationships, which I really appreciate. One of the main reasons why we partnered with them is, they're not looking to come in nickel and dime your business. They want to help you guys. They're here to help you. So, if you want to reach out, you can come come through me because I'll be a good conduit because Steve's a busy guy.
That's right.
So, or we'll be on LinkedIn a lot on Steve's profile, Martin and I, and then the QAD Customer Podcast will be somewhere that Broom Street will consistently show up. A lot of this information will be consistently provided on that show. We're relaunching that, and Scott Kane's one of the guys we talked about. We're also going to have some of the senior leaders in the C-suite on QAD themselves on that show coming up. So definitely stay tuned on that, and feel free to reach out if you want to learn a little bit more about some of the topics that we're covering.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Cool.